and I yield back.
Thank you. And thank you for filling in, Senator Lujan. Senator Baldwin.
I want to thank all of our witnesses for appearing here today to share your expertise and your personal experiences. I believe it really greatly benefits this committee and the American public to hear how technology is being used to increase the sophistication and prevalence of crimes and scams. I wanted to start with Ms. Mani. I especially want to thank you for sharing a deeply personal story with the public and with the committee about your family's experiences with artificial intelligence deep fakes. Would you be willing to share with the committee the various steps that your family took after finding out your daughter's likeness had been used in this way? What sort of steps did you take, and how did you know what to do and what to do next?
Well, thank you, Senator. I'm going to start with saying that our situation is really not unique. It has been happening, and it is happening right now. I mean, we just heard about the Pennsylvania story. So last year, when we found out, or when we were informed by the school what has happened to us, the first thing we did, obviously, we called a lawyer. In the school sector, we were informed that nothing can be truly done because there are no school policies and no legislation, and the lawyers repeat exactly the same thing. So when my daughter heard from the administration that, in parentheses, she should be wearing a victim's badge and just go for counseling. And when she came home and she told me, I want to bring laws to my school so that way my sister, my younger sister, will have a safer digital future, I said, oh, okay. And that's how we started. We've been advocating on multiple fronts, just because as complex this technology is, the context of misuse is very complex as well. So we've been looking out, obviously, at the legislation as our first road for change. And surprisingly so, it was the easiest one. There are so many legislations right now that are, hopefully will be passing soon and helping victims of deepfake misuse. We were looking to the route of education as prevention, as setting an example of how victims should be treated. The old tale of consent that I feel it needs to be reinforced even in 2025. But most importantly, we started in acknowledging that it's time for us to change the rhetoric. No matter where we were going and talking to whom we were talking, it was always about how do you feel as a victim. And even though it's very important how victims feel, it's an important part of the story, I feel it's time for us to start talking about the perpetrators and the lack of accountability and the need for stronger protections. Like, for example, and as I mentioned, there's so many AI bills and so many AI laws out there, and they're all important. Some of them resonate deeper with us than others. Take It Down Act, it's very close to our heart for one important reason which I feel public should be educated about. Civil laws can be very expensive, and not many can utilize them. Criminal laws, not everybody would like to go this route for multiple reasons, cultural, personal, religious, you name it. The Take It Down Act allows the victims to take control over their own image. And I think that is so important, which gives the freedom to anybody affected to just move on with their life, which sometimes that's all they want.
Thank you. Mr. Brookman, in Wisconsin, we're seeing a prevalence of technology being used to scam families, including seniors. This past March, the Dane County Sheriff's Office put out a warning about phone scams using artificial intelligence tools to mimic the voices and faces of loved ones, to trick senior citizens into believing their loved ones are in danger and need help. I know other law enforcement agencies in Wisconsin across the country are hearing from victims of similar scams. I also hear directly from constituents on this matter. In 2023, Wisconsinites lost approximately $92 million to fraudsters and scamsters. So once people realize they have become a victim of a financial fraud or scam, can you speak to what steps people must take to report the crime and recover damages?
Yeah, so first they're going to try to get the money back, and it really depends on how they did it. If you paid for something with a credit card, there's actually pretty good protections in this country. If you used a peer-to-peer payment app, actually the protections are a lot weaker. I know there's some legislation before this committee to try to, because again, it's just a different button on your phone, and suddenly the protections are a lot weaker. If you paid with crypto or a gift card or a wire transfer, it's going to be tough. And so again, educating people just about those differences is really important. Freezing your credit can often be a good idea, again, depending on what got compromised. It's gotten a lot easier in some ways since the Equifax data breach, but it's still 3 different bureaus. If they're family members you need to get to, that's still labor you need to do. Different law enforcement, I mean, it is a good idea to report, but they report to local law enforcement, report to the FTC, report to your state attorney general. If you get locked out of your accounts, like that can be just an absolute battle to get back in if the scammer takes that over. I think Matt Honan famously wrote a really detailed story about how he lost access to Gmail and the journey to get back there. So it can be absolutely overwhelming and dispiriting, and it puts a tremendous burden on people who've already been ripped off.
Great.